All right, we are
Greetings,
live.
everybody. Welcome to the Midnight Society with the Nat and the Cat and the Monty G. Um, Evening, gentlemen. How are you? How are you?
I am
Happy
well.
holidays.
I'm doing
Thank you.
fine. Just doing
I'm
fine.
feeling festive, as you can
I
tell.
knew you'd be doing. I know you'd be doing fine, Monty. Because every time I bring you up here and we always talk about an A24 film, I already know the biggest smile is on your face, going, "Hell yeah, yeah, right." But yeah, it seems like every time that we don't have the bat, we're always doing A24. Uh, but we're not having a bat anymore. The bat had to fly away,
I
so
was
it's
just
gonna
gonna
be the
say, yeah,
yeah the bat and the cat, the gnat and the cat are here. He still will probably pop up. I would suspect he'll pop up whenever he can,
yeah,
when he
I'm
can.
sure.
But for right now, it's gonna be me and JT, and uh, and tonight we're gonna be talking about the monster. And this is how I'll explain to you what I think about the monster. We're going to be going in depth with that, and it's going to be a great show. And we're going to have some fun. And we're going to start now by me pressing the intro. We got to get a new intro.
We gotta. I will talk. We'll fix stuff now.
Here we go. All right.
You like that?
Hey.
How I'm repping the cheetah here a bit?
That's
I asked
right.
my sister. I said, "Listen, I need to get into the festive, feelings here. Do you have a regular Santa Claus hat, like a regular Santa hat?" Yeah, sure, I got one. It's like regular, not like a crazy whatever. No, I got you. I got you. She drops it off, and it's this cheetah pattern hat. I said, "Thanks, Ash. That's exactly what we spoke about." So I'm rocking it. We're going with it.
Hi, Betty.
I'm
How are
cheetah
you?
type.
Glad you're
Hey,
here. Glad you're
Hey,
here.
Betty.
hey, Betty.
Um,
Hope all is well.
So what's funny about this? About I was telling JT about this movie, and he said that he had said he had not heard about this movie. And had you heard about the monster before, Monty?
I actually seen it. I
Oh,
actually
okay.
seen it. I think about a couple years ago. I just saw people talking about it, and I see, I gotta check this out. So I went ahead and saw it, and I was very impressed because even though there's an actual monster in the film, the film is more about the mother and daughter relationship, uh,
Mhm.
about those two, not about really the monster, which I was proud to see. Glad to see that the fact is just none is wasn't your standard creature feature film. It was more about those two and their relationship as opposed to just them trying to survive getting attacked by a creature.
Right. I definitely think Bryan Bertino really created a classic movie here because he combined seamlessly the mother daughter and the creature. Um, you know, it's a heavy film for one thing.
Oh, for sure.
I actually said that this is sort of like I put A24 as in two sections. I have the hip A24 where everybody jumped on the bandwagon with The Witch and Hereditary, and then I have the pre A24 with movies like The Monster, Remember, Cut Bank that no one has ever
Yeah,
heard of
yeah.
even now.
Tusk.
Right,
Tusk
they
is
never even
one.
heard of them now. So I looked at it that way. It's like this is a pre A24 because this came out the same year as The Witch, but it didn't get any sort of publicity at all.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no, it didn't. Yeah.
No. Um, I found the movie. I was telling JT I found the movie because I'm a fan of Ella Ballentine, who played the daughter.
Hmm.
Um, I actually bought a movie, blind buy. I bought a movie called Standoff, and it had Thomas Jane and Lawrence Fishburne in it. And Lawrence Fishburne was playing the heavy, and I love Lawrence Fishburne. I love watching him act. He's so
No, it's
good.
great.
Hmm.
But like I just felt like he was defanged during his CSI run. You know, if you watch him during his CSI seasons, it's painful. It's painful to watch it because it's not Lawrence Fishburne. It's like it's like having a Mustang car and yet being told you could only go around a go-kart track. It's like why the hell would you even have that if you can't use it?
It's
Um,
like being demoted to Larry Fishburne. when he first
Yeah,
started.
You think he was miscast for that role?
Yes. I mean,
yeah,
they were not so much miscast, but they wrote his character wrong. His
yeah,
character
they could have utilized him much better.
yeah. His character should have been, like Morpheus, like that. He's still quiet, but when it comes down to it, he can get things done. And
Yeah.
they really didn't do that. He was more just like, part of the cast, part of the of the group, but not his usual self. So when I saw this movie called Standoff at the Family Video, and it said he's playing a bad guy, I jumped all over it. Hey Phil, it's our friend Phil,
Hey, guys.
Mr. 3000. By the way, congratulations, Phil, 3,000 subs.
Yeah, congrats, Phil.
man.
Wow,
Good
it's
stuff.
amazing. That's cool. See, and Anthony's here. Anthony's going to be hitting 1,000 here before too much longer.
All right, congrats.
So I got this movie, right? Because you go blind by, you see actors you want to see. Thomas Jane's solid. Lawrence Fishburne's a great, he's elite. So I go ahead and get this movie called Standoff. And Ella Ballentine plays Thomas Jane's, the girl that he's trying to protect from Lawrence Fishburne. She steals the movie. She stole the movie. He was so good in this movie. And so after that, I said, I'm going to keep an eye on this. Keep an eye on her. And then she did 3 movies with Martin Sheen, Anne of Green Gables. And then she did a movie called The Captive. She was really good in. And then The Calling. The Captive, also A24 film, pre A24, with Ryan Reynolds playing.
That sounds familiar, that one.
Ryan Reynolds actually acts in this movie.
Yeah.
It's really good. He's not his usual Ryan Reynolds self.
No, not in that movie.
No.
It's rare to see him put on a non-Ryan Reynolds performance.
It was. And so she was in that movie. So I've been following her career. And then when I saw The Monster, I said, I definitely need to pick this up. So I did. And
she kills it in this.
She does. She absolutely nails it. It's such a great performance.
Hey,
hello, everybody. Buds are here. Echo's here.
Hey, what's up, Echo? What's up,
All
Bud?
right. Those who can share us out, feel free to do so if you'd like to. So I guess I'll ask everybody what their first impressions was when you picked up the movie, when you saw the movie. What was your first impressions?
I just liked, how we were saying, how the focus isn't on the monster here. How just the relationship between, was Lizzie her name in the movie? Lizzie and Kathy's relationship.
Yeah,
and
Liz and Kathy.
It kind of gave me like small vibes of like the Babadook kind of. How you have the disheveled mom and the dad's not in the picture. Here he is, but they're separated. And it focuses in that movie a lot on the relationship between the mother and the kid. So that kind of gave me vibes of that at the beginning, but the atmosphere in this movie is amazing. Like just the tension that it creates and just how little they show the monster as the movie goes on. Like they didn't overshow it. They didn't show nothing at all. Like they really did perfect with showing the monster in low light and just making them look not even like able to tell exactly what this thing looks like. And that it did take a back seat to the relationship between the mom and the daughter. Because this whole movie takes place just on that one stretch of road.
Yeah.
And we just get flashbacks to certain pivotal points in their relationship and in their life. And I loved it. Like I gotta say, I absolutely enjoyed the hell out of this movie from beginning to end. Very surprised. But after hearing how great that the daughter, the actress, what's her name again? The daughter?
Ella Ballentine.
Yeah, I will definitely be checking out those other movies you listed, Pat, because she just was amazing in this. Same with the mom too. Everyone, it's kind of like a two-person play almost, with like very sporadic other characters that show up. Kind of like Hard Candy with Patrick Wilson and Ellen Page.
Yeah. That's another great movie.
Oh, it's a great movie, yeah. But I absolutely love this. Great watch.
How about you, Monty? Was this your first introduction to A24, Monty?
No, I might have seen The Witch prior to seeing the monsters. Not my first foray in the A24. Because I have seen the Babadook already, and I think it was just I think it was prior to Hereditary coming out. Right,
Did you
prior,
say
prior.
that? Did you say you already saw the Babadook already?
Yeah, I already seen the Babadook already. Yeah,
You know that.
and
You know it's IFC Midnight, sir.
that's right. That's right. I mean, I get always getting confused with IFC Midnight and A24 because they come out with
I'm
similar type of
I'm,
films.
I'm dead.
I can see what you're saying. IFC is some killer movies though.
I'm so dead.
Uh, yeah, one thing I liked about the film is that yeah they kept the monster hidden so you didn't see it, but they also make sure it still was a threat.
Mhm.
Because the one thing you always want to do is that the monster was still a threat, and I like how they kept it being a threat, so that way it still is a danger. While Zoe and Kathy were still trying to resolve their issues, but they also knew the dangers that they were in. That's why I particularly like the film. They like the performances were great. I actually like the fact that they decided to use practical effects. I'm pretty sure the budget wasn't as big, but the fact they're able to do a nice production wise, it probably saved production costs because they shot it in one area.
Oh, for
Right.
sure, yeah.
They shot it in one area, so that saved a lot of production costs. But I was great how well the film was made and the practical effects, and the fact, like I said, that the tension and suspense in the film. I thought he did a pretty good job.
I mean, Bryan Bertino has definitely, to me anyway, he has pretty much cemented himself already as as just one of the best directors working today.
Hmm.
I mean, definitely in horror. Um, there's part of me that wants to see what he could do with something non-horror, but then again, there's part of me that sits there and says, you know what, I'm perfectly happy with him staying there. Um, he every movie that he's done 8 films, and honestly, I have yet to see a bad one. Um,
I'm sure he can kill it outside of horror too. With just the way he handled the dynamic between the mother and daughter in this, I'm sure whatever he does, he could
yeah,
absolutely make a killer
yeah,
film.
you're right. I mean, we're going to get into the movie here, but I mean, the writing that he does is absolutely it's super strong. That's what makes his movies for me is his writing is extraordinary,
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
and especially for the monster because you're right. I mean, it's really seamless how he does this. I mean, this movie has so many different layers and depth to it. As far as this movie goes, it's not just a simple, they're bickering, the mom and daughter are bickering, and then a creature comes out and eats everybody. It's
Yep.
so much more than that. It's so much more than that, and and it starts off right off with a bang. I mean, we open up, the movie opens up, and we're already seeing, because the way I look at it, there's actually 2 monsters in this film.
Mhm.
To me, there's 2, and we already see the evidence of the first monster in the first scene of the film. We see Ella Ballentine, her Lizzie. Um, she's, I mean, I think she's supposed to be like 14 in this picture, 13 or 14. Not
Yeah,
very
Hmm.
pre-teens, I think.
Um, yeah, and she's just absolutely just, the movie opens up, and I mean, you see her there, and she's waiting. She's waiting. She says she's waiting for something. She's waiting for her mom to get up. Then she gets up there and she cleans the house. I mean, what to me right off the bat, it's just it's like wow. So we know the mom is really messed up, and Lizzie's known this for a long time. She's lived with it for a long time because she has that look of resignation on her face, like again. Um,
Hmm.
She
and then
gets
she
rid of
goes
this.
ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not new for her to see, what's going in her life because we walk inside of her life and we already see that it's, the ramifications of living with an alcoholic parent. We already see the results of that. Um, what did you think of the first scene, Monty? What was your impression when you saw Lizzie? You know,
That led me to believe I says, "Ooh, looks like we're going to have an actual true monster here, and it's not the actual monster; it's the mother." And I thought it was a nice way to introduce both characters in the film. Obviously, this is something that she's seen before. This is goddamn. This is another time I got to clean up after my mother. I'm getting sick of this. You can see the disgust on her face, and that's a great portrayal that she does in the beginning of the film. And we already get to see the type of characters Lizzie and Kathy are.
Yeah. How about you, JT?
Yeah, it's a powerful opening, and just seeing, like, for anyone who's dealt with, family member or anything like that with addiction issues or alcoholism, that's one tough thing to deal with. And for a young girl like this, and she was able to portray it so well that you could still see the hurt on her face. You could still see how much it hurts her, but you could tell that she's jaded from this. That, like, she's been dealing with this for a long time. How long? I don't think we ever find out how long she's been dealing with it. But you can tell on her face and her performance that she's been dealing with this for too long, that it's affecting her way too much at this point. And you can even make, like, an argument that you can look at this movie allegorically and just look that there wasn't a monster, that it was just her battling her demons against her mother. I mean, obviously that's not what happens. We see the actual monster, but you could look at it that way. And
I think you can look at it that way. I think you can. I think it's safe to say that you can look at this both as a practical, like a real world, the monster, and allegorical. I mean, we definitely see, when we see Lizzie cleaning the house, throwing away all the booze bottles and emptying the ashtrays, and then cleaning up. I mean, not only did she clean up the whole. I mean, think about this. She's 13 or 14. Think about how many girls or how many kids at that age that would not only be able to handle this or be, I guess handle it, but actually, be proactive, like she cleans the house. A lot of kids just would have been running wild, no parental authority. But the fact of the matter is that Lizzie is the adult.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the establishing shot that Bertino puts there is telling us, like, Lizzie's the parent. She goes inside there. She's waking up her mom to get up. Isn't that just like a mother getting a kid up for school?
Yeah. She's the responsible one. And she didn't have a choice there. She had to. She just had to be. She had to just take on the responsibility role, for her mother, which is, like I said, cannot be an easy thing at all, especially for someone that age.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing too, for me, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't have, though I don't know if that's what he intended to, but I didn't really have I didn't have the anger toward the mother for putting her in that position. I felt really bad for them both. Like, okay, what has hurt you so bad? That you have a great kid here. You're on the cusp of losing her. What's the one thing that could have put you in that position?
Yeah, they play great sympathy. They make you able to feel for the mom pretty much just as much as the girl. Like,
in the first
story. It's a sad story.
In the first scene.
Yeah.
How about you, Monty? What was your
Yeah, because they really don't explore what caused her to become an alcoholic. And I think they did that on purpose. I think he did that on purpose, mainly because we want to feel sympathy for her. Obviously, something happened to her that caused her to become an alcoholic, but when they never specify what that is. And I think that's what the great job that that Bryan does, in the film. And he does that. He does that in plenty of all his films, even with the strangers and the strangers pray for us. He makes us feel sympathetic to the main characters, and I think he does the same thing in this film as well. It's just like in the strangers, we know that there's something wrong with Scott and Libs with their relationship. We don't know that, but we know that there's something wrong in their relationship. And even though they're not happy with each other, we still feel sorry for them because of the situation they found themselves in. And the same thing here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and seeing her have to, seeing Lizzie being forced to become the adult, like they were supposed to be up at 8 o'clock. She overslept till 9. She couldn't get her ass up till 9:30. I mean, she's, I think part of that too was the fact that, the mom was, dragging her feet because, for this trip, I don't think Lizzie's going to go live with her dad.
Mhm.
And Kathy knows that this is a one-way trip for her and Lizzie. She's going to be coming home by herself and probably pretty much going to be coming home to her own self-destructive, her behavior. She's going to just, you don't really get the impression, in meeting her that she has any interest in changing. That was just my feeling. It was like, it's been a while, but of course she comes out there, she says sorry, like, you hear that before, but there's just tone deaf, the words they're not believed anymore.
Mhm.
Yeah, because they've been said so many times, is
Yep.
what we can gather from just the opening scene and seeing their relationship, that she's probably apologized to her daughter a million times before. So these words mean nothing to Lizzie. It's all very well handled too.
I mean, I think they show Kathy trying to assert herself a little bit after Lizzie tells her everything that she's already done. She's packed. She packed for her and her mother. She's cleaned up the house, and Kathy's looking for one. He's looking for something to assert her authority over, because she has nothing to say to Lizzie that there's nothing she could say, because there isn't. And so she tells her to load the car up. That's her only thing that she could grasp. I mean, even Lizzie's telling her already that you can't smoke in the car.
Mhm.
Already she's already establishing the ground rules for them. Already, you can't smoke in the car with me in it.
I think the only other thing that she's able to say and show some authority over is when Lizzie's playing with the lighter on the couch, and after a while she's like, "Give me that. You're not allowed to play with that. Give me it." She takes the lighter from her. That's basically it.
Yeah,
like you're saying, there's nothing else that she could really say that she's in the position to say to her daughter after everything that her daughter has to live with, with her mother like this.
I felt bad for you felt bad for them, and then they get they start interspersing, I should say, memories. They start interspersing memories, and I think this is really good because Bertino uses this now because he has to establish Kathy as a little bit unlikable. Because when you see her, she does come across as sort of sad and pathetic, but there's a scene that comes up that firmly eliminates that without a doubt. And that is, they bring back the memory where she's going to be doing a school play from a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
That was
hard to watch. I'm telling you, oh wow,
that was hard to watch. That scene.
That was hard to watch. That was very hard to watch.
Just imagine being at that point, you're screaming at your adolescent kid, and you go, "Fuck you" over and over again like that.
Yeah.
You find your own drive, so you find your own ride to the play, like that. Like you said, they had to do something to take that sympathy as low as possible when looking at her.
This is, I mean, to me, this shows you. This is like the first glimpse that really could see how good Ella Ballentine is.
Mm-hmm.
Because, here's Kathy yelling at her, and those words. And when she responds back to her, like, you can't talk to me like that. You feel that comment.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's not just something she's reading off a line. That's coming from her heart, and she's like, you can't talk to me like that. And with so much emotion behind it. And the only thing I thought of was, like, I bet you when they said cut on that, I bet you there's two things that happened. One, Ella started crying, and Zoe's hugging her. That's the first two things that got me right off the bat. It's like, man, that must have been a hell of a scene to film.
Oh yeah, that was one of my my favorite scenes in the movie, and that was just to see that so early on. I was like, all right, I'm in for definitely in for a ride with this movie.
Oh
yeah, exactly.
I mean, that is so heavy.
It must have taken something out of them to film that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. I can't imagine sitting there and yeah, I'm sure they're, but their thing is they're so good. I can't imagine them doing that, having to do that scene more than a couple of times. I don't think
Yeah.
Bertano is going to sit there and let her do that scene over and over and over again. I think it's going to be like, I'm going to give this 2 or 3 shots to get it. Maybe,
Oh, yeah.
maybe that day. And if it doesn't happen that day, maybe come back to it another time, when they're, refreshed, because you can't sit there for a day of shooting and do that heavy scene over and over and over.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to do that.
I don't think it took more than a few shots.
And this again established Bertino as not only a sensational director, but his writing is so strong, to do that, and the trust that he has in his actors to carry that scene off and own it. I mean, you just don't see that very often. You just don't.
No, he absolutely pulled everything out of both actresses for that scene. And
Yeah,
it was an absolute gut punch. Like I said, like just even as a father who has a young daughter, like not as old as Lizzie in this, but just can't imagine getting to that point in a relationship with your kid that you're screaming that type of stuff at your kid.
Yeah.
It really hits hard.
And for one thing, to establish this, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, tell me what you think, Monty, but it does definitely establish this movie as a horror movie in a lot of ways, right?
Oh yeah, it does. Yes, it does, and not
Absolutely.
just as like I said, it's not just as a creature feature. It's just like how the Babadook was, it's more about the relationship between the mother and daughter. And here we see this very terrible scene happening, and it's like, wow, this is going to go there. So, like I said, you got to give him credit for how he wrote that scene and how the actresses acted in it.
So they, her mother must have been, it must have been like a total slap in the face when Lizzie turns around and says, "I don't want you there," at her play, because she's scared she's scared and she's embarrassed of what her mother has done, what her mother is and what she's done, what she could do,
And what she's not done.
Or not done either.
All the time she missed the play in the past. She made that comment that you miss everything. You missed my plays in the past. So like we see that she's been let down like one time after another by her mom. That it makes sense to get to that point of like, I don't want you there.
And she's scared. She's scared to death. She's scared to death that her mom's going to embarrass her. I mean, isn't that one of the high school age kids? Isn't that like, even preteen or early teenage? It's a fundamental thing for a kid. They're scared of what their parents could do, or even though the parents can be super sweet, but it's like when your dad comes over and rubs your head in front of your friends. A couple of years ago, no problem. But now, now you're 13 or 14 and your dad comes over, okay, sport. And then, it's no longer fun anymore. Now it's like, oh, come on, don't do that. That sort of thing, and your kids are naturally, they want to be their own person. But in this scene, Lizzie she's just scared that her mother's going to be showed up, and not knowing what's in that purse. Who knows? Will she be able to watch an hour and a half, 2-hour play without, getting tossed? What about the past, the reputation of Kathy and the no show up for Lizzie's activities? I mean, all that must have been just totally terrifying for Lizzie.
Oh, absolutely.
And so we see the girls. I mean, we see Lizzie and Kathy. They're on the road. And it looks okay. They seem to be getting along okay. I noticed Kathy rolled down her window. Got to roll down the window. So that was courteous of them. And Kathy comments to Lizzie saying, "Look, I know you're not going to be coming back to your dad. I know you're not going to come back." Lizzie tries to soothe her a little bit by saying, "I didn't say that. But we all know that's going to be the case. She just wants to get to her dad's house. She just wants to escape.
She feels once she gets there, then she might finally be safe. That she might finally have a resemblance of a normal life, possibly. And we don't find out much about the dad and her relationship. We have that one flashback memory.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like her relationship was too great with the father either. Like, I don't know if that was just when they were still together, the parents, and they were just.
I think that was their boyfriend.
Household. Was it? Is that what it was?
Yeah, that was her boyfriend.
Right, so we don't see the father.
I think it was a boyfriend, not a father, because
I
think we only get like I know Scott Speedman, he stars in the film, but he only has like maybe one brief scene in the film.
Yeah, he plays the boyfriend.
It was the boyfriend. Yep, it was the boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
But so, I wonder why they could have dove into a little more on the relationship between her and her father, but it's not really central to the story here. Like, I think about the mother and her relationship.
I definitely feel like the father left. That's the reason why they're split, though. It's definitely because of Kathy's alcoholism. That's the first impression I got. It's like, they got visitations, but it's gone to the point now where that the visitations have now come to where the dad's going to be. It's going to take over. He's going to take over raising Lizzie because Kathy's unable to do it anymore. She's not able to do it at this point in time. So they're out on the back roads. Beautiful country, beautiful location shooting too. This is in Canada, and beautiful scenery. And it's the tensions in the car, but it does seem like every time and again, Lizzie's still the mother, Kathy's still the daughter, and they're still driving, and they stop at a store. Lizzie's on the phone explaining to her dad, telling they're on their way, and they're already an hour and a half late, so I'm sure the dad wasn't too happy about that. But they seem to get along better once they're on the road. Lizzie, because she's with every mile, she's getting closer to her freedom, so to speak. And you definitely feel her. You can actually see her shifting from adult mode almost back into kid
mode.
Right. Because now she doesn't have to have that burden on her shoulders of looking out for her mother.
And you can hear the father on the phone. You can't hear what he's saying, but just from her answers, you can tell that he's asking, is she drunk? Has she been drinking? And stuff. And he's saying, no, we hit something, like she's fine and stuff, like reassuring him. But those are the first questions he had. Is she drunk? Has she been drinking? And just to hammer home that this has been a long running, problem in this family.
What did you think? Did you like the idea? Did you like Bertino's way of interspersing the memories, the flashbacks, Monty?
Yeah, it's good to see flashbacks because once they're out on the road and stuff starts to happen, and then we get the flashbacks and we get to see why their relationship is what they are, and we get to see some flashback to find out why they're in this predicament, because obviously they don't have a good relationship, and now we find out why. It's because she's an alcoholic, and she's not only alcoholic, she's been a poor parent. And I thought that was pretty good with the flashbacks that we get in the film, and I thought that was pretty good. It sort of gives the viewers a more open window of their relationship between Lizzie and Kathy.
Yeah, because I think after we see that critical scene where she's yelling at Lizzie, and like I said, that establishes Kathy as the monster. In a sense, you no longer really feel sorry for her as like you did in the first part of the movie, the first scene. Now you're looking at her and you're just like, wow, what a complete horrible bitch,
Yep.
Just out of control. It's just like, wow, I just, it's something like it's almost like if you were a neighbor and you're watching that, you're gonna get involved in that. You're not gonna let that go.
And it's brilliant how he filmed that scene too, because it almost makes you complicit. that there's
Yeah.
nothing you can do, that you just have to sit there and watch this terrible argument between the mom yelling at her kid take place in front of you, and there's nothing you can do to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, great how he filmed that.
And you're right. I mean, it does not only to make us complicit in a sense, but you think about the neighbors. They have to. They're probably just like shaking their head, going like, "Oh, here we go again." When's this going to end? I mean, we've all had neighbors like that sometime during our lives. As far as that goes, as far as them doing something crazy or something like that, we all have seen it. We've all experienced it. So, yeah. Going back on the road. I mean, like I said, we see the dynamic changing. You could even hear them in their voices too. Lizzie's voice becomes less. It's more light, more like a child, and Kathy's voice becomes more like an adult. And you
great subtle acting by both of them.
Mm-hmm.
The scene where they crashed. Wow, Monty, walk us through that crash scene, because that was a good one.
Yeah, that was a good, because it's unexpected. We've been seeing them out on the road for a time. We see the dynamic between them, and all of a sudden, this comes out of nowhere, and bam! It's like, oh shit, I wasn't expecting that, which is pretty good, because now that we've established the characters, we established their dynamics, we see what's going on. Now let's get into the heart of the story, and that's the crash. They're in the middle of nowhere. They've hit something. We don't know what it is yet, because they just hit it out of nowhere. And we find out what's going to happen to them now, how they're going to react, how is Kathy going to deal with this? How's Lizzie going to react to it? She's going to be, wow, we're out in the middle of nowhere. We hit something. Can I depend upon my mother to actually do something, do the adult thing?
I like the idea. One of the things I really like too is the fact they show them not hitting a deer.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, that's actually was actually sort of, because that would have been sort of cliche, right? I thought it was really interesting that they hit a wolf.
You don't see that in too many movies.
No. And you're right. I mean, they spin around. They get whopped. They spin around. They get whopped. Kathy hurts her wrist. Her door's jammed, and she's got a nasty cut on her eye. And then Lizzie comes out of it. She actually comes out of it not too bad. I mean, definitely Kathy came out of it the worse for wear.
Yeah, she did.
But kind of like what Monty was hinting at, it's like, with everything that she's had to live with her mom and being the adult, she's probably the first thing on her mind is like, am I going to have to be the adult here in this situation?
But you know what? She might have thought that. She might have thought that, but she didn't act that. She reverted to a child. She went back to being a 13-year-old.
Which I think is just natural after being through an accident like that.
I agree. I thought as soon as they hit that crash, the whole dynamic switched right there. It went from daughter mother to mother daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And that was good to see, because you're thinking, okay, well, you're right, like, how are they going to react to this? How are they going to be able to work together? That's the thing. Will they be able to work together, or will they panic? Will they turn on each other? I mean, will they blame each other? I mean, who's to say? But right now, Lizzie is definitely the back to being a daughter, and they sit there and they're shocked, and they don't really know what to do. They don't, and then they try to make a phone call, and that's where JT mentioned where she called her dad. First they called 911, and they said they're sending a tow truck and a
ambulance.
I was really shocked with the lack of response to that. I'm thinking, we hit an animal, where we banged up our car. My mom's hurt, and they're like, yeah, we'll send a tow truck and an ambulance. And it's
Yeah,
like
that's the only reaction.
yeah, I'm thinking to myself, well, like, I think you probably get a little bit more of a reaction to that.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like,
you know,
don't
a
sound
couple of
panicked now.
at least a couple of the Mounties coming out at least.
Yeah, well, didn't they said that they were on an old road, right? That there was
Right.
like, it seemed like there was a newer road that was built and no one really uses this one anymore.
Was this film supposed to be actually in Canada, or what they filmed in Canada was supposed to take place in the States?
I think it was probably supposed to take place in the States. I
That's
think
what I'm thinking
they
too.
filmed it in Canada because I don't think Canada has 9/11. I could be wrong about that. If there's anybody Canadian in here, is that what they're?
Alexi would know, but he's not here right now.
Yeah, that's something we could. I'll ask one of our Canadian friends about that.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Because when they said 9/11 too, I'm like, oh, I didn't know Canada had that.
I'm pretty sure
but
it
I
was
know-
supposed to be in the States.
Yeah, but because I know Bertino, even though he's a Canadian, I know he sets his movies in the States. I mean, you know, he sets it in the like he set The Dark and the Wicked. He set that in Texas. So I know that. But you know, and she makes the call. She tells about her mom being hurt. You know, her voice is cracking. You know, because she's scared. Then she calls her dad, and you're right. She has that conversation with her dad about, you know, like, no, she wasn't. You know, she wasn't drinking, and you know, it just happened. And then they're sitting in the car together like that, and then it's, you know, even though they had lights overhead from the highway, but they still instantly Lizzie starts getting scared. I mean, it's like it's like it's dark at night. You're out in the middle of nowhere, and she becomes a kid. You know, like she's scared, and her mom's sitting there like, you're okay. You know, let's get out. And then she has to tell Lizzie to get out. She has to be a little bit forceful for her to get out of the car. Lizzie doesn't want her to get out, but she's going to get out anyway. So they stand outside, and they. I liked how Kathy reasserted herself. I thought that was hopeful. You know, it was hopeful. It was like, you know, if she was going to fall apart, she would have fallen apart. You know, maybe she had a hidden bottle of booze, you know, for the rope for the trip back. You know, like you would think that. Yeah.
The fact she's able to pull herself together enough to, you know, be the parent in this situation and not full deck and be like, oh, I can't deal with this. With that bottle I hid. Like,
I think that's one of the best features of the film, that, you know, she didn't have any hidden bottles like we see most alcoholics have. When the push came to shove, she actually did step up to the plate and actually be the mother that Lizzie wanted her to be. So I like that aspect of the character. I
did too, and I'm glad they didn't fall into that trope. You know,
we see that so many times too.
Right, and we see that all the time. I thought it was really impressive in the fact that she didn't do that, because, you know, here she is, and by not doing it, she's trying to tell her daughter that maybe there's something, you know, maybe there is hope for them both down the line. You know, if I could do this, if I can go ahead and take you to your dad's and make it back without drinking, maybe, you know, who knows? But, you know, it is an opportunity there. There is an opportunity there. Hi, Katie.
Hey, Katie.
Hey, Katie.
How are you?
And of course now Lizzie's looking at the, you know, like, you know, they both are outside now. They're both standing outside. We hear thunder in the background. It's going to start raining pretty soon, and they're staring at the wolf.
Great shot.
Yeah, that scene. Yeah, that scene where like, you know, is it alive? I don't know. You know, and then it shows Kathy and Lizzie standing by side, and then we see Kathy take a step forward. She's putting herself between the wolf and Lizzie, and then we see Lizzie walk quietly behind her. You know, and she, you know, and Kathy bends down and because she sees something. What does she see, Monty?
I think she might see the monster. We don't get to see it because it's all grayed out at first. We get to see some parts of something. We might see the monster because because we know the monster did the thing, but the monster is also because we know later on what the monster is afraid of. But I think that's what she sees, something in the background, and then that's when finally her mother instincts kick into play.
Yeah.
Well, right before that, they pulled a tooth.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Yeah, tooth. That's what Kathy was
Big
pulling
sucker,
out.
too.
Mhm.
Right, that tooth. It was just like that thing looked like a damn shark tooth.
Yep.
It was like this young. It was like like wow, like and they noticed that the wolf had it had been in a fight.
Yeah, but
They
it
were
had
they were
injuries
fighting.
before the crash.
Mhm.
Right. And you're right. I mean, they're standing out there, and it's very unsettling, because you're looking around, and you know how it is. You've been in the woods before. Every sound is amplified when you're in the
Oh
woods.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So so that's, of course, is one of the reasons why we're scared of the dark. We hear noises, but they sound tremendously big.
Yep.
So they do go back to the car. They go back to the car, and they have to wait. And then we see more flashbacks.
Mhm.
More flashbacks. We see Kathy out there on the back porch, going through the trash, trying to find just a little bit more booze and finding it, and arguing with herself about not drinking it.
I thought
Like,
that was a very powerful scene too. Of her
Yes.
just fighting her addiction and trying to just go to sleep. Like, oh, that's all you got to do is just go to sleep. And then,
Yeah.
unfortunately, you see her succumb to it and just start swigging on the alcohol. But the
Yeah.
way they handled that, great. Like,
Yeah.
really, just like you said at the beginning, had a very layered movie. Like, he did such a great job writing this.
They really did, and they really established Kathy's character and Lizzie's character, and you go back from being angry at Kathy from the one scene to seeing her scene here, and all of a sudden, again, you soften a little bit toward her.
Mhm.
You're not just looking at her like, oh, she's just a damn drunk. You're looking at her as with more compassion, like she, and you see that she's in the throes of her alcoholism. And it's a monster,
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's her monster has turned her into a monster.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so so we see that, and we see that Kathy does have, she is trying, she has, she's not just, I'm just going to drink blind just because I can. She's still trying to. She still has some resistance. And to
Yeah.
me, when an addict does show resistance, like when they at least do try not to me, there's always hope. If you
Oh, yeah,
if you
for
have some
sure.
fight left, if you have fight left in you, you have a chance to fight. It's just when you just go back out there and just do it, just to do it. It's heartbreaking.
Oh, yeah.
So this movie is very thinly cast, by the way, very thinly cast. So it only has 5 characters in it, and 2 of them are only in it for a split second. We'll get to them in a minute. But now, after and Lizzie goes out first. Lizzie goes out by herself, and she walks out there, and she like Monty says, he sensed that the monster. Remember, oh no, they see the wolf is gone.
Yeah. The wolf is
Yeah.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
The
the wolf
body's
is
gone.
gone. They were having a conversation, and then they looked up, and the wolf was gone. And because Lizzie had wrapped up Kathy's wrist,
Mhm.
the first aid
Yep.
on her wrist, and they looked up, and the wolf was gone. So Lizzie gets out of the car by herself. Yeah, that was pretty nerve-wracking, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Oh,
when
yeah.
you know that they're in trouble.
Mm.
Because you see the wolf. You see they hit the wolf, and they expect it. They pull the tooth out. They get back in the car, and next thing you know, the wolf is gone. It's like, uh-oh, something
Yeah.
bad is going on.
Yeah.
Something bad
It's
is
not
happening.
just a car crash that's going to be
Yeah.
the worst of their night that they're having.
Mm-mm.
And it's right around here that we see the first shot of the monster, right? They're out of focus behind Lizzie. And I thought that was such a great shot. Just showing it out of focus. You can't tell exactly what it is. And it doesn't do anything. It just it makes its presence known on the screen. And it's damn effective. Like, it really was well shot.
You really, it was so strange, too, because it's like, okay, there's the creature behind her. And it's like, but he didn't attack her, and that made it really, in a way, it made it more scarier. That's the fact that that she wasn't attacked. It's like, okay, so it's gonna be a little bit like a cat and mouse type, and that's that's really ratchets up the suspense. Yeah, and I like the fact, the idea that hey, the bat's here.
Hey,
bat.
What's going on, Al?
Hey, Stevie.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Stevie. Let's see. Echoes here, trying to watch Amityville Christmas Vacation. That's a great movie because it has cats in it, I hear. Amityville
I
Christmas.
heard a few people talking about that Amityville Christmas Vacation.
That is actually written and directed by a friend of the channel's, Steve Brzezinski, who also did Carousel 1 and 2. So Al's flying around. All right.
As bats do best.
Yeah, I think you know what. Yeah, that's upside down. So she gets back to the car. Kathy has looked at the tooth too. Like, they're looking at the tooth and they're going like, that's that kind of tooth is that. That's not just an ordinary tooth.
No.
Yeah.
So at the same time, about this time, we see a tow truck finally get there. Okay. So this is probably my only part I had like a little bit like nitpicky with this movie, was the tow truck scene. It's the only part that it was just like I was like shaking my head about it a little bit, but I understand it, for the sake of the movie. So the tow truck guy comes up there, and is driven by a gentleman named Jesse. All right, so I want to hear you guys. What did you think of the way the tow truck showed up?
The thing that I really just nitpicked a little is like, this tow truck showed up before the ambulance. Like, that was the only thing that I really like nitpicked about it. But then after that reaction we heard when they called 911, makes sense, I guess. Like, they didn't seem to be that in a hurry to get over there. But just
they didn't.
If you ever called the tow truck, you know that they ain't showing up before an ambulance does. Like, so that was a little nitpicky with that, but just the whole way before that, how they kept having them go back to the car and then get out of the car and go, it really builds suspense like very well. Like, just for when something finally does happen, it takes you off guard because you're so used to seeing them back in and out of the car. And the tow truck scene is another great scene in this. I don't want to speak too early on what happens, but good scene.
Because I thought it was interesting that the tow truck would show up before the ambulance, because we don't know normally when you call 911 as far as what county are you in, and how that works as far as how they disperse the ambulance in a tow truck. It could be that the tow truck was in the area before the ambulance got there.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you have to suspend and you have to go beyond your belief when it comes to real life situations. You have to you have to expand your imagination a bit. So I kind of had a nitpicky scene when I first saw the film, and I think that's one of the things I didn't like. But I said, it's like he's just trying to create more attention. So I can get it. I can understand that. So I forgave him for that.
I think that what got me was the two things that got me was one where he rolled up to the car. He put himself not in front of the car for a tow. He put himself way up there for a tow. Like his truck was like, it was like, okay, why aren't you parking by the front of the car?
Yeah,
like,
he didn't angle himself right.
And the other thing that got me Why did he have to feel like he needed to take their bags and put them in his truck? Where were
Yeah,
they
if
going to
he's gonna
go?
be- yeah, if he's gonna be
that
towing the
did not
car.
make any sense to me.
No, it didn't. It made no sense at all. He's like, I'm Jesse, and here, let me take your bags and put them in my truck. It's like,
Yeah.
where were they going to go? You're taking the car with them. Leave their
and all
bags
their
in the
belongings.
car.
I
It's
mean,
like,
maybe they set that up just for that line from him when she needed the phone, Lizzie, and he said, "Feel free to go in and get it yourself."
I know.
Maybe.
It just seemed to be a little bit like,
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
like
It seemed
why?
a little bit of a false narrative. It's like, it's just something that
Yeah.
he wouldn't necessarily do. It's like,
yeah.
and that's what got me. And he parked his truck far away from the car. Here he is, and then again he's going to the car. He's going like, you have a broken axle. All right, so you have a broken axle. I mean,
Not a mechanic.
unless and it's not like the tire's going to fall off the car. It's like you're going to be jacking it up. So what does it matter if the axle's broken?
Mm-hmm.
And they're telling him, let's go.
Yeah.
And he's just dragging his feet.
And this is before anything crazy happens. Like,
Right.
yeah.
It was just a little strange how they did that scene, but Jesse seemed like a really nice guy. He definitely seems, he was, he understood. Like, I like the way that Bertino wrote him, as the fact that he came over and he was very, like, he's right off the bat saying, "Hi, I'm Jesse." Like he's establishing contact with them, saying, because the women are already terrified.
Yeah.
The last thing you need is have some gruff guy come out of the tow truck with attitude. It's the last thing you need. But he comes out there and he says, and it's raining by now. It's raining cats and dogs. He comes out there and he says, "Hi, I'm Jesse, and let's I'll put your bags in my truck and this and then he starts working on the truck." I knew what he did. I knew why he did that, for to lengthen it out a little bit, but it was still for like, I don't know if he needed to do it. And it's definitely not
lend a hand.
Definitely not taking the bags and moving them to the truck. Yeah. Why would anybody do that? They're not going anywhere.
Like you said, probably just to lengthen the scene and add more tension, have it build up more.
They tell the story about they hit a wolf and Jesse looks at the car, the tires are all messed up. I actually thought, if I'm not mistaken, I thought they were like in the car. I don't know. I have to go back and look at it, but did it seem like there was bone in the car, like antlers?
No, I didn't see that.
I don't remember that. No,
I don't remember that. I don't think there was antlers or anything like that in the car.
Unless it was a quick shot and I missed it. I don't know.
I would have to go back because it seemed like there was some sort of tooth in there or antler or some weird shit in the car. Because I'm like, why can't they just, because they hit a wolf and did they maybe it was a tree branch or something. I don't know. But definitely the Jesse goes in and he starts working on the car, they're out there and then they notice that their phones are they're let's see, how did it go? I'm trying to think of, did they go try to get the phones? Yes, they went to try to get the phones first.
Yeah.
They went to the school, get the phones, and Lizzie did not want to get out of the car. Not want to get out of the car. And Kathy says, "You got to go." And so she gets out of the car. She walks over to the truck, and the truck's locked. And so Mr. Jesse, can I have the keys? Or she asked where the keys were. He says, and then she goes back to the car, and then I think that's when Jesse, what did he have? He had to get up to go do something, and he started hearing noise.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, hearing noise, and he starts investigating it, and because they couldn't hear him anymore, because he was underneath the car, and then he wasn't.
Yeah.
And the monster is very quiet.
Oh yeah,
it is.
He's very sneaky. He's very sneaky.
Yeah.
That's what I think is really liked about the monster. He's not the typical like creature feature that when he does the attack. He's very sneaky. He seems to know what he wants, and he's obviously waiting for his opportunity to go get his kill. And that's what I really liked about the film is because how intelligent the monster is.
Yes. The
Yeah.
monster is sharp. It's
Mhm.
a really intelligent monster, and he's very he's very clever. I mean, he thinks. Gory
I
BB
love.
is here with us tonight. Hi,
Hey,
Gory.
Hey, Gory.
Gory. Hey,
What's up,
Gory.
Gory?
Gory.
That's right. Don't forget, after us, Gory will be with on her channel with Horror Hangout after the show at 10 o'clock. We go ahead and drop your link down, Gory, to your channel inside our chat by all
Yeah,
means.
plug it
And
in.
well, as soon as we're done here around 10ish, we're all going to go and hang out with Gory and Danny Nightmare. Making Sunday nights memorable. And not only that, but Gory and Danny, and well, they will be teaming up with us. We're doing another Bryan Bertano. We're doing the Strangers and the Strangers Pray at Night. We're doing that on January 15th on both our channels.
Oh,
All night, the Strangers.
oh,
Yeah,
that's
that's gonna
decent,
be
decent.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah, Gory. I'm definitely going to have Gory back on my channel, both her and Dan, because I have something interesting planned that I would like to do, and with her and Dan, and of course with Ken and Angie, I would
Uh-huh.
like to do something decent with them. It's something I have something planned I would like to do for next year.
Married couples of horror.
Yeah, married couples of horror.
Yeah.
All right. I
Mm.
like that. I like that. Hey, Frosty, welcome back, sir. Welcome
Hey,
back.
Frosty.
What's up, Frosty?
Yeah. So the monster was super clever, super smart.
I
And
like how they don't
quiet as
explain
hell,
much
too. He was
about the
quiet as
monster.
hell, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, you can sneak up right. That's why I love that first shot of him just out of focus right behind Lizzie, because he doesn't make a sound. But
Yeah,
I
he.
love how they never explain what the monster exactly is, or
No.
where
No,
it came from, or anything like that. Like they leave it
Mhm.
ambiguous, which I liked a lot about it.
but
That they
that's
tried diving into it.
that's a little bit like Bertino's style, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He doesn't always necessarily give you a backstory.
like with the
He's
stranger
not.
saying, "Why us?" It's because you were
Right.
home.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like with the strangers, when Liz tells us is that why did you attack us? He said because you were home.
Yeah, yeah,
Or the Dark and the Wicked, where you just dropped in the middle of the story.
Yeah,
yeah.
You're just dropped there. You're not. There's no beginning. We don't know how they got where they got. He just drops you right there and says, "Okay, figure it out."
yeah, because
And,
in the Dark and the Wicked, we really don't know why the demon or the entity is picking with the brother and sister. You know,
Yeah.
why is he just there? And that last twist in that film, that was decent. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, he likes
uh,
keeping aspects of his stories ambiguous like that, which I highly
yeah,
enjoy.
he's just I dare say, right now he's definitely got to be in the top 5 horror film writers right now. I mean, his writing style is so strong. As directors,
Mhm.
he's definitely, he's only got 8 movies underneath his belt, but he's definitely a major player. I mean, whatever he does, if you're a horror fan, you're watching it no matter what.
Oh, for
I'm on
sure.
a mission to get everything that he's done.
I like to see him what he can do if he has a bigger budget.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
because if he can do what he did with the strangers, and then you give him a bigger budget, I think he can do make fantastic horror films, sort of like Mike Flanagan.
I love Flanagan.
Mhm.
right. Well, Keith
Love
Thomas,
pretty much all Flanagan's done.
I like Keith Thomas. He wrote and directed the Vigil that we cover for the IFC show, and that was his first movie, and it's like, okay, what do I think what I like about Bertino a lot is the fact, and also like Jennifer Kent as well, is the fact that they had success, but they didn't turn around and cash in on it. You know what I'm saying? They didn't like,
Yeah.
okay, look, we'll give you the Vigil, you did that, but now we're going to have you do Firestarter. I mean, you're
Yeah.
going from here to here without going here, and I think that's for a lot of directors. I think that's a mistake. Because look at Bertino. He's got 8 films underneath his belt. They're all super strong. They're all getting stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he does get handed a major movie, which will happen soon, when he gets handed to it, you know that it's going to get done right. It's not going to be sloppy. It's not going to be, it's not going to be bad. It's going to be really, really good.
Yeah, that he has that learning curve that, he didn't just jump from a low budget film up to a major horror movie.
Right.
And I like about Bertino is that he knows how to write to his budget. Like even with The Strangers and like with these lower budget movies that he did, he knows how to write to that budget and not write himself into a corner of like, I don't know what to do here.
I tell you what else he has too, before we get back into this, but he has a strong sense of casting. He knows how to. He also is a disciple of the John Ford way of casting, which means he uses a lot of the same people. I mean, a lot of his movies, you go look at it, you'll see a lot of the same people. Like Ella Ballentine is in The Dark and the Wicked.
Yeah, and Scott Speakman, he was in The Strangers, and even though his role is small in here, he's in this one.
And he was also in The Captive.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just a sensational director and writer, and definitely. Gory's saying that her and Danny will be talking about Gremlins.
Yes.
I'm sure that will be most entertaining.
I'm pretty sure it will.
Do you think there's any old dude Gremlins is any old dude Gremlins hanging around? I mean, we have to ask her that. Man, that show's so much fun. Okay, so now Jesse has been snatched underneath their car.
Yep.
The girls are sitting in the car. And then Monty, tell us what happens what happens next.
Well, but unfortunately, that's when things really start to pick up because they are now half skitzing. And then next thing you know, the monster finally strikes and takes Kathy. And that's when they realize that, oh shit, we're really in trouble.
When Jesse's arm flew on the hood, I mean, I was like,
Jurassic Park a bit.
Yeah,
when he throws the goat, when the T-Rex shows the goat remains. Kind of reminds me of that a little tiny.
What happened to the goat?
Boof.
I agree. I mean, I saw that when and the thing that it is too, if you really think about this, when his arm hit the hood, that's the brightest that this movie got as far as that night of color. Like he showed the whole color of that arm. It was no muted. It wasn't dark. It was like, damn, it's the whole damn arm, and it's lit up, and you can see that. I was shocked when he. I was shocked because I'm sitting going like, damn, man, that guy died hard, and so that, of course they're panicking now. They're panicking like holy shit, and then they're scared to go outside, and then we see Jesse crawling across the roadway. Man, I have to tell you, I couldn't blame the girls at all for staying in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Not one bit.
I didn't.
It'd be hard to get my ass outside.
I'm just thinking to myself, I'm going like, yeah, I'm not so sure I would have got out of the car either to run out there to see what I could do for that guy. Because one, his arm is laying on my hood, so I don't think he's going to be surviving all that much longer.
Exactly. It's like, well, he had a chance. It's gone now. So let's, I don't go out in the rain. So that's my excuse.
So they stayed in the car, though it was the scene was great. The scene was great. He did feel sorry for him, tremendously sorry for him. They were trying to help him out, because he did get the battery going for him. So they had lights, so they could see him crawling across the road. And it's like, what could you do though? And I thought that the guy who played Jesse did a really good job, because, and there's one thing they did really well too, and that is, he was fucking in pain.
Oh yeah,
It was, and he allowed that. He didn't. It would have been really easy to put the score over that, like a real suspenseful score.
Yeah, no, they just made it silent so you can hear Jesse.
Yeah, so you hear him crawl, and moan, and and I thought that was a lot more effective than putting a score over it.
Yeah, it was great use of sound design for that.
Right.
Yeah, because I think there's another thing that he does is how he used sound effects and how I don't know if he did it in ADR or not, but the sound effects were pretty good in this film.
Oh,
excellent. Yeah.
Very, very good. Very well.
Oh, the scene where we're talking about right now, when Jesse gets on his truck, right? He's trying to open the truck up, and then and then when the monster comes and gets him and pulls him underneath the truck.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I mean, you're hearing everything. I mean, you're hearing the bones crunch. You're hearing. I mean, the guy's he's just being destroyed.
Very good.
And it's not a quick death.
No. He makes it. He shot it so that it just gets a little more uncomfortable as it goes on.
That's a good word.
It could have been a very quick death scene and just drag him off into the woods, but he let it linger for a little bit.
No, that's a really good word, JT. That's a real good analysis. I like that because it's exactly right. Very uncomfortable. It's actually very uncomfortable to watch. But then again, isn't that the mark of a really great horror film, though?
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of reminded me of. Have you ever seen Tourist Trap from 1979?
I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen it in a while.
They use sound to an extremely effective level in that movie in the very beginning. That there's just a scene going on and this guy ends up dying and there's all crazy noise and stuff going on, and then as soon as he gets hit with something, it's just silent, and then all you hear is just blood dripping down. It's the way that he took the sound out like that kind of reminded me of that a little bit. Just with the way that he, like Pat said, you could add a score over it. You could add something, creepy music playing, but just the decision to not have any of that and just be able to hear Jesse in pain and just trying to hold on to whatever he can of life was much, much more effective than if they would have just played some, scary music over it.
And I know, Gory, she loves Tourist Trap.
Yeah, it's a favorite of mine.
Let's see. Let's catch up. See, Gory also says that Gizmo is the old dude gremlin. Oh man, here we go. Old dude gremlin. Stevie says that he's loved this film, watched it years ago, talking about the monster. Yes, this film again. This is pre-hip A24. Yeah. This is the A24 movie that no one really knows about. Because it came before Hereditary and The Witch.
Pre-Hereditary.
Yep.
So this is like the cool A24. Not.
I just love it when Patrick talks about I love when Patrick talks about before the cool A24.
The hip one.
Because Patrick cracked me up when he talked about how overrated The Witch and Hereditary are.
I actually like The Witch. I actually like The Witch. I mean, Black Phillip is king. I mean, how could you not love Black Phillip? Seriously?
Oh yeah, it's just like and what gets me with not to go off topic, but what gets me with The Witch are those twins, especially Mercy. Mercy cracks every time when I see that film. I just love Mercy and how she talks and how they make fun about Black Phillip.
I love Hereditary. I never cared for The Witch.
Ooh,
yeah, hot take. You heard
love Hereditary. So the Midnight Society is looking for a new co-host.
Yeah, we got to get rid of this Hereditary loving guy. Get him thrown out his ass right before Christmas. That'll be a good Christmas present. Get out of here.
Was it because of the way that they talk pure English in the film?
No.
And The Witch, you mean?
Yeah, The Witch.
Just like one of those movies.
I thought the speech was perfect. I really enjoyed that. I did like The Witch. I thought it was really well done.
I do know people who that was a complaint for, like they're speaking. That wasn't it for me. It just I've seen it, gave it a few more rewatches, and I love slow burn horror movies. It's just one of those films that just didn't do it for me. Maybe one day, maybe one rewatch it'll click.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Stevie. Toni Collette she deserved an Oscar nomination.
Haley Bennett deserved an Oscar nomination for Swallow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard about that too.
Yeah, that's a.
Mia Goth does.
We're gonna end up probably covering on the IFC show. All right, so now the girls. I mean, I can't blame them for not getting out of the car. They just watched Jesse, their tow truck driver. It gets killed horrifically. Now Kathy's actually she's starting to think now. Now she's starting to think because now she's sitting there going like, you know what? Now we can go ahead and get out and and take his tow truck. We can go out there and get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And because Lizzie does not want to get out of the car at all. And so while they're waiting there, that's when the monster attacks their car.
Mm-hmm.
And really starts getting in on Kathy.
She looked pretty injured after that.
Yeah,
she gets gravely injured.
She gets really injured badly. And of course, just about that same time, the ambulance shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Finally starts showing up, and lights on and everything else. And so, as far as they come running in, and again, it's like nobody's listening to these ladies. Not even more so now than before. It's like, get us the hell out of here. They're going around like, okay, we're gonna take a look around. It's like, no, you don't understand. It's like, get the hell out of here.
You gotta go now.
Yeah, we gotta go now.
It's like, we gotta go now.
Right. Like Jurassic Park, must go faster.
Must go faster. I was just gonna say
Let's go faster.
Let's go faster.
Well,
let's go faster.
They don't listen, because they're paramedics, so they must have saw the blood stain on Jesse's tow truck. That's the only thing I could think of. Like, and then why would they stay around more than that? There's a male paramedic and a female paramedic, and of course, and I tell you one thing, those were very fast working. The male paramedic,
Mm-hmm.
he was really, really fast because he hooked Kathy up to an IV in record setting time. They got her out of the car, on a stretcher, in the ambulance. It was an IV in her arm in 5 minutes. And I believe me, I've seen plenty of IVs in my time, and I've never seen anybody do it that fast before.
It can't be that fast, or it can't be that slow.
I mean, it's just like, and of course, now the both, Lizzie and Kathy are in the ambulance. They're both telling them to go. The male paramedic goes outside to go get his partner. His partner comes inside, gets in the van, back in the ambulance without knowing that her partner's still out there. And they're telling him to go. And all of a sudden, the paramedic comes right through the window.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets killed. And then the female paramedic, I don't understand why she just didn't dive out of the front seat. Because they're putting their hand out there, like, grab my hand, I'll pull you in. And as she does that, then the monster comes in and takes her as well, and kills him.
I guess just being panicked in the moment.
I guess.
Holy shit, what's even going on here? And before you know it, you're dead.
Yep. So both the paramedics are killed. The tow truck driver is killed. So that's the end of our supporting cast. They go ahead and they don't even bother. Kathy jumps in the ambulance, and she drives like a bat out of hell.
I think they'll get away.
Yeah, I thought the monster was going to be on top of the roof when they pulled off. I said, because that's where I thought if the monster's going to be anywhere, it's going to be on the roof.
Yeah,
I was not expecting it to be where it was.
Yeah,
I actually thought that too, because I thought the monster's got to be on the roof, because I said the movie's not going to end now. And I said, well, maybe the monster's on the roof. So I really like what Bryan did right there, that the fact that you would think the monster's going to be on the roof, but it wasn't.
No.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, though, he allowed them. He allowed us, the audience, to think that they were going to get away, because they were putting on the gas. They were screaming down there. They had lights. They had lights on. And there they go. And yet there's the monster ahead of them.
Yep.
and not only ahead of them, but takes them out hits them with hits
yeah.
the ambulance with such force, and causes the ambulance to crash once again.
Yep.
Or will crash again, into the woods. So now they've suffered through 2 crashes in one night. I want to talk about that again toward the end, because I was a little bit. It made me wonder a couple of things too, down the line. Because I'm watching this and I'm like, that's pretty damn awesome. That monster's the badass.
Mhm.
So they get rocked out, and then unfortunately, Kathy is already injured already. She's even worse injured. Lizzie
coughing
actually,
up blood, right? Showing that she has
right.
internal injuries.
Lizzie's not that banged up. She's
No.
not. Again, she manages. Kathy though, she's messed up,
Yeah.
and so now they're in the back of the ambulance, and of course, Lizzie thinks her mom's dead because she's so banged up, but she's still alive, and so they're there, and then the monster comes in to the back of the ambulance, and Kathy has only one weapon. That's her flashlight, and she flashes on the monster, and of course the monster doesn't like the light.
Yeah. That's when they discover what his weakness is.
Yeah, so he doesn't.
And how
They don't
can use them against
like
them.
light. So they're there. They know that they're on their own. Kathy tries to grab the radio. No, nothing.
No.
I think by now we all, at this point in time, we can realize that Kathy, if anything, if she's done anything, she's redeemed herself in the eyes of her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Her daughter is totally, you can see how much she's had to rediscover how much she really loves her mother, because she hasn't seen this side of her mother in who knows how long.
Yeah.
The
and
adult.
I think Kathy had to realize just how much she loves her daughter also.
Yeah.
By putting all her demons behind her, and this is kind of her redemption, which makes the whole dynamic of the two of them being introduced right from the beginning of the film so much more powerful, because you finally get to see her hit a redemption arc and give her life for her kid.
I agree with that. I mean, because Kathy's down. She knows she's dying. She knows she's dying.
Mm-hmm.
So, so she comes up with a plan to save her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And her daughter doesn't want to hear about it, and she's too scared. But she tells her, "You'll do. You got to do what I'm telling you." And so I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know about you, but I mean, do you think Kathy did the right thing, or do you think that she should have built up a fire in front of the back door? Maybe she would have put some things on fire there to create a barrier. I wasn't, because I'm thinking, wow. Yeah, I was trying to think about that, because you got a torch. I mean, you got plenty of alcohol in the ambulance. That's what she had. She had extra bottles with her, and I'm just wondering to myself, why? But I think she just and the other thing too is she's telling her daughter to run. Where's she gonna run?
Yeah, that's something I thought. She just had the open road to run on.
Right. I couldn't understand that, because it's you guys couldn't outrun her in the damn ambulance. How far do you think her daughter's going to be able to run out in the open at night?
Yeah, before this monster chases her down, surely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's one thing if Kathy had a trap, I'm going to trap her, and then I'm going to trap her, and then the monster, and then we're going to fight. But it just shows that she was dying, because I don't think this was the smartest idea. I'm going to go ahead and not only does she have the torch, but then she goes ahead, and that's her idea is, I'm going to go sacrifice myself instead of fighting. Mm-hmm. I think she would have been better off fighting than she would have been sacrificing herself. And then when she goes out there with the torch, she quenches it. She invites the monster to attack her. Again, it's one, your daughter's going to hear it. She's probably going to see it. And two, she's not going to be able to, and if anything else, that's going to traumatize her so badly that she's not going to be able to do anything else than that. where's she going to run to?
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody knows that they're out there. They won't know out there for hours.
Just the ambulance and the tow truck. That was it.
I mean, it wouldn't have been.
I think he went. I think they wrote it. He wrote it that way just so we can see the daughter have her, little show off with the monster and defeat the monster. Kind of like she's like channeling all her feelings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean? I'm just looking at it more logically. I'm thinking, I would like to see this a little bit more. I would have liked to see this a little bit more, and because up to this point in time, Kathy's actually done really well, and I just think that maybe because she was dying, she wasn't thinking too clearly. I don't know, but I'm just thinking to myself, wow, if you know that light hurts the monster, the one thing you want to do is try to light up as much area as you can. That's what you want to do. You want to make the light as much as you can.
Woods on fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, set the woods on fire
and let it go.
I mean, even though it rained, you still could put something on some wood somewhere, or hell, you can put or light the ambulance on fire. You got tires there. Put the rubbing alcohol, something to cause a light.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't. She thought that the best thing she could do was to sacrifice her life to give her daughter a chance to run. But of course, Lizzie does not. Lizzie takes it on. She comes out there and after Kathy gets. I'm surprised she survived. She still had consciousness, but the monster just devastates her. Lizzie comes out there and manages to hold her off, beat her off, beat the monster off, and stays with her dying mom, and then goes back into the ambulance. And she decides she's going to fight, and they have a really touching scene. The last flashback is Lizzie and Kathy, and they're telling each other how much they love each other. Like, do you really love me? Do you really love me? And it's a really touching moment. It's the last moment she remembers. And then she comes up with a pretty badass little plan. I liked her plan. I liked how she thought about it. She used the last symbol of her childhood, the last thing she's going to hold on to was her teddy bear, and she gave it up. She says, this is because this is a symbolic way of sitting there going, I'm separating myself from being a child to being an adult.
I also like how they foreshadowed both the lighter and the doll earlier in the movie, and how it came into play at the end for her plan. Like, it's very good foreshadowing for both of those.
What do you guys think? What do you think of Lizzie's plan to lure the monster in?
I actually thought it was pretty intelligent on her part. For a girl of her age, and the fact that she probably had to do the same thing with her mother. And I think that gave her the courage to do the same thing with the monster. I'm going to do the same thing with the monster that I almost went to do with her mother, because there is a scene of one of the flashback scenes where she actually has a knife through her mother. It says, I hate you. I'm going to kill you.
I didn't think that she was saying it to her mother. I thought she was saying it to the alcoholism.
Yeah, it's a focal point to the alcoholism. I think, that's a good analogy. Yeah. But I think they use that flashback scene as an analogy to how she decides to go at the monster. She says, you're just like I want to kill the alcohol from my mother. I'm going to do the same thing to you.
Right.
And I thought that was a great idea.
This movie is brilliant. Like, for so many themes and layers in this movie, just calling it The Monster. It's a brilliant title for this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because it works on multiple different levels. But it is a smart plan, though. I mean, just using sound, and like you said, like, just the last thing from her childhood she's going to hold on to, and know that this monster is going to attack this doll, and then just hiding in the compartment of the ambulance, and then proceeds to blast this thing into a heap of flames afterwards with the lighter. Which, like I said, both were very, very well foreshadowed. And because as soon as you see that lighter at the beginning, it's going to come into play. And Ty West is great with this too. That even if something is foreshadowed kind of heavy, what he does with it exceeds your expectations of what you thought was going to happen. And I think he did the same thing here. Like, you know, that lighter was going to come into play by the end. And what they did with it was awesome. Like, very, very good way of finally taking this monster out. And kind of freeing her of, you know, all the past stuff that she had to deal with, all the monsters in her closet, so to speak, that she had to rid herself from. It's kind of like going through a metamorphosis, and she finally is, you know, coming out of it on the other side. Excellent writing throughout all of it.
Oh yeah.
So you thought the knife symbolized the alcoholism too, then?
Yeah, I would say the mom, but more so the alcoholism, what it turned the mom into.
So I thought that you know the you're right, the intelligence she showed and doing the trap. It was very clever. I liked it a lot. You know, I like the fact that she went face to face with the monster, saying, I'm not scared of you." You know, I know a lot of people. You know, I was thinking to myself, going like, why wouldn't I know a lot of people say, well, why wouldn't the monster attack her? And you know, because the monster had chances, and you know, the first time she saw her, she didn't attack, and then this face to face, he didn't risk straight out attack. It was interesting. I think the second time he didn't attack her in the final scene was because, quite honestly, I'm sure he was full.
Yeah, right. Man, I just ate 3 people.
I'm sure.
I just had a wolf and 3 humans. I don't think I'm too full.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
I'll save you for dessert hours from now.
The only thing again is like the monster. You know, like she you know, it's like the guy was like, it's like the monster was coated in gasoline, though. You know, she hits him with that flame, you know, with a spray can, and he just lights up like a 4th of July. I didn't really care for that. I thought the monster deserved more respect. I thought it
why it lit up so fast.
Yeah. I just think that he was tougher than that. I mean, he's stronger than that. I mean, he you know, here he is. He knocked the damn ambulance off on his side. Yep. I just, you know, and he wasn't hurt by that. You know, he didn't split his skin open. He didn't get concussion, or he didn't. You know, he did that. He's much stronger than that. I just felt like the ending, by torturing him so much, was just a little bit anticlimactic.
I could see that. The only thing I put in there just for headcanon to make it make sense of why you just like ignited so fast was maybe just when he knocked the ambulance over, gasoline spilt all over him. That's the only thing I put in my head to try to make up for it. But it was a little anticlimactic, especially when we see what this thing's capable of.
Right.
And then she just lights it ablaze and just beats it a little bit, and he's dead. Well, that we know of.
Right.
I'm assuming it is dead, though, by the end.
I mean, what did you think, Monty? You think the monster deserved a little bit better of a ending than what he got, or were you happy to see him go up like a barn?
Well, yeah, I expected the monster to be, you know, seeing what we saw the monster do in the beginning of the film, and then for him to be put down that easy. I was a little kind of disappointed in that. I thought the monster was going to, because he does try one last thing to Lizzie before she finally kills it, and I expected the monster to put up a little bit of a better fight, because we see what the monster did. You know, he's highly intelligent. You know, he took out Jesse, he took out the 2 EMTs, he knocked the ambulance out. You expected the monster to be a little bit to be tough to take out, but I guess they just wanted not to have the girl fight. I guess they want to make the fight more believable, because you know it's not like Save of Prey, where Neuro is an Apache warrior, so she's an experienced fighter and hunter, and this girl's not that. So I guess they decided to make it a little bit more believable, that the fact that it's a tough monster, but she was still able to take it easily, because you don't want to make it too tough, and you want to make the monster appeal that tough, and then she takes out just like that. That is a little bit over the imagination. So I think that's the reason why.
It makes it too unbelievable.
Yeah, it makes it too unbelievable. So I believe that's why Bryan wrote it that way.
So Lizzie does survive. She kills her monster. The monster he even threw in a little jump scare at the end, which I thought was actually sort of funny. Okay, get it. It's almost like get it out of your system because you know you're gonna do it. And sure enough, he did a little jump scare, and then she wails on him for a few minutes, and then then she's walking to she survived the night. She survived the monster. And again, one thing too was the fact that he didn't bring the monster back, and there was no twitching or anything. He was dead, and so it's a standalone movie, and it pretty much ends right after that. I really like this movie. I liked it. I liked it the first time I watched it. I really enjoyed it watching it the second time.
Oh, I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Oh yeah. It just reminded me how well paced the movie was, how well Bryan directed the film. Because, like it says, we really don't see the monster till right around the middle of the second act of the film, but we still have the suspense and the tension in there. So I thought Bryan did a fantastic job in how he directed the film.
They used practical effects. The monster was practical.
Yes.
On the back of the DVD, they have a special feature of about how they made the movie, and they're talking about how the monster would the guy in the monster suit, they would sometimes have to lead him by the hands, because you couldn't see out of the suit very well.
Yeah.
So they would lead him by the hands, and for some of his scenes. The gentleman who played Jesse, he was really interesting. He was saying how they shot the movie. It took weeks for them to shoot the movie. And so they're doing night shoots, and with all that rain, was manufactured. He says, every night I was out there doing rain, and I can imagine it was a hard shoot.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Just one location shot like that. It kind of reminded me, just like with the happening all on one road. You ever see Dead End with Ray Wise and Lin Shaye? That's not a big talked about movie, but that takes a place on like one road for the whole movie, and it kind of reminds me.
I've heard of Dead End. That I've heard of Dead End. Yeah, that was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's not talked about enough. I might watch it after this.
Most people don't talk about that movie.
Yeah, that's one I got to cover. That's a good, and it's a Christmas movie too, because they're traveling on Christmas.
Oh,
so that works out.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that is our discussion for the monster. We highly recommend it. You can get it.
Absolutely.
You can get it on a24.com. You can get it probably in any secondary market, eBay, Amazon, or what have you.
Amazon has it.
Look to IMDb. You can catch up on Zoe Kazan. I think she did a movie this fall called Women Talk. That was about the bringing down of the Weinstein brothers. She did that with Carey Mulligan. I do believe Ella Ballentine is going to college right now. She's only 21, so I think she went to college route. But she will be back, I'm sure, as soon as she's done doing that. And as far as actors go, unless Bryan Bertino was doing a new movie, which I'm sure she'll probably make an appearance on. I don't know what he's doing next. I'm not sure to see if there's anything on his IMDb page to see if he's working on anything. Because I think the last movie he did was The Dark and the Wicked.
Yeah, the last one he did was The Dark and the Wicked.
Let's see.
I don't see anything. He's got anything in the pike. I'm checking out his IMDb page.
Yeah. So so that's our coverage of the monster. I know that we will be back for another A24, and actually we'll be back for another A24 come February. And Monty G will be back with us. We're inviting him to come out and hang out with us as we talk about the Black Coat's Daughter.
Awesome.
Yeah, I gotta see. I have not seen that one yet. I have to check that out. I have to watch that before. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to watch that for February comes on. But definitely gotta check. I heard some good things about the Black Coat's Daughter.
The Black Coat's Daughter is actually really good.
Since I've seen it, but I'll rewatch it again before the show, as I usually do.
I have to say I actually I own a copy of that movie. Don't hate me, but I do own a copy. You guys get a crack. I don't know why you guys crack up at me, but
I crack up at pretty much anything. So it's not
So do I.
I think I have close to like 30, maybe 35 of their films already, and I think that their A24 has slightly over 100 movies released. So I think I got like about a third of their other releases.
They started in
bad,
what? 2011, 2012?
Uh-huh.
When did A24 start? 2011, 2010, 2012?
2010?
Not that long ago. Not that long ago. They've only released
something like that.
They've only done like 100 movies. They got more coming out, but yeah.
Oh yeah, ever since they grew up with Hereditary.
Let's talk about our channels as we wrap this puppy up. Monty, what's coming up on your channel this next couple of weeks?
All right, like I said before, probably Monday or Tuesday, I will start off with my top 5 worst horror films of 2022. Going to do a couple little different things that I haven't done when I started making these videos. I actually will have some honorable or dishonorable mentions. I never really do dishonorable mentions or honorable mentions, but because there were so many decent horror films this year, like I said, I couldn't fit all of them on, and I wanted to keep them on. So I have some honorable mentions for the top 10 and some dishonorable mentions for the bottom 5 films, horror films. So I would say by Tuesday and Wednesday, I actually have those videos up this week.
Any upcoming horror hangouts coming up?
Probably not until January.
Okay. That'll get the chance for the horror corner to get cleaned out and repainted for more victims. How about you, JT? What do you got coming up on your channel this week?
It has been a merry demonic December this month, so I've been covering all demonic possession movies. I knocked out the 3 Exorcists, the Conjuring movies, and now it's time for some Christmas themed ones. So Silent Night, Deadly Night will definitely be there, Black Christmas, all the classic ones that I feel, and some lesser known ones that I'll be diving into. But you know, I just pop up videos usually every day, every other day, whatever I feel like watching that night. But definitely those good ones coming. I think I'm going to be doing an end of the year list with Mike over at the Real Fifth Beetle, and hopefully if Dave at Savage Zombie Reviews can join us too. So we might try to like do our little top 10 end of the year thing together if we could coordinate it. So that'll be fun. And then we're going to be watching Martyrs.
That's right. I can't think of a more Christmas movie than Martyrs.
I know, right? Merry Christmas. Like the French
you're talking about the French one, not the American one.
Yeah, we're talking about the
original.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of what could bring us more Christmas cheer than a classic French film, Martyrs. And honestly, I couldn't think of anything. So me and the Cheetah, we talked about it. We said, yeah, let's do Martyrs. So I think he thought I said Catters, but it's really Martyrs. but it's really Martyrs. So we'll be covering that next Sunday night here in the Midnight Society. I can't wait for that. This week though, I have 2 shows and I'm going on the road. On the Tuesday the 20th, we have our friend Bill, aka Maple Cook, will be here with us at 8 o'clock. That is going to be a very fun show, very exciting show. He's a chef. He's a teacher. He's comedy. His channel's phenomenal. He'll be here with us on the 20th. On the 21st, we have actor, entrepreneur Douglas Vermean will be here with us on the 21st. And on the 23rd, me and the Cheetah, we're packing up our bags. We're visiting the Agoraphobe channel at 10:05. I thought it was 9, but it's 10:05 p.m. And we will be talking about Black Christmas 74. Black Christmas 74. And on Christmas Day, we are going to be doing the Midnight Society, but I'll probably be doing a live stream during Christmas Day with some guests and whatnot. I might be making it into a little bit of a marathon, just in case people don't have anything to do or are looking for something to do, you know, we'll be out here doing a stream. So you guys all can join us and hang out with us, and that'll take us to the Martyrs at 8 o'clock. All right, that's it for me. I want to thank our chat for hanging out with us. Gory's channel is going to be popping up here in about 15 minutes. So I'm going to scoot our asses out of here to make way for Gory and Danny as they're going to be talking about Gremlins. Yeah, that'll be fun. Those guys will tear it up.
Oh yeah,
I just watched it with Garrett at Video Tasties like a week.
Okay.
Oh
yeah.
Okay. Watch party. Yeah, that was fun. Always fun watching Gremlins.
I still got to see that. Never saw Gremlins.
You never saw Gremlins?
All right. Nope, never seen it.
Nice. That's one to check out.
Gotta check that out.
All right, you guys. Monty, thank you so much. We will catch Mike. We'll get Mike and Ken Sledgeham, Ken Sledge back on the show for we'll try to get him back for the Black Coat's daughter. But otherwise that we'll see you guys Christmas or for the society. Thanks so much for coming out. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Everyone be safe. Have a good night.